Good morning, my digital heathens of YouTube. Everyone's having a good time out there, I sure hope. J4D3 here, coming at you from the Pacific Northwest in the United States. And this is my speed drawing. It's kind of a long one. This one's about 13 minutes long, so. And that's because it's on such a big piece of Bristol board. It's like 17 by 24 or something like that. It's pretty big. It's about twice as big as I usually work. And this is the very first drawing I ever filmed. But I just didn't finish it off for a while, so it's been sitting in a drawer. So I got it out and finished it up this week. And it's kind of like when you give yourself an assignment that's not real. That's what this is. This is kind of a book cover design I was working on just for the fun of it for a graphic novel that I had in my head, and I was working on other stuff, so I decided to do this cover design to see if I could get it out of my system, and it worked out for the most part. I haven't started drawing the actual pages for this yet, but this was going to be like a wraparound spread cover, the front and the back, and then I left the back with not a lot of detail so I could put book text on it. I think the problem why this isn't successful visually as much as I was hoping is there's no real sense of menace. I did have a figure in the bottom corner there. I guess it's the top corner now, that I was going to have coming around the top of the pod, the bottom of the pod, to get the girl, but I know it just wasn't working out, so I didn't ink her in, and ended up erasing it. This is drawn with my fine liner pens right here, and this is a 0.05 and 0.08, and these are Artist Loft pens, which I don't even think I don't think I even have these anymore. I only got like maybe one or two of them because they ran out of ink. And I don't use these kind of fine liners that much because I've been doing my illustrations with Tombow pens for the outlines for these color pieces lately. I still have a gang of fine liners, and I guess I use them once in a while, but I think I'm saving them for more illustrating comic pages than doing this kind of work. Yeah, and then I colored these in with alcohol markers, and I use my Copics quite a bit on this piece, and then I also use my Spectre Noir and my Twin Touches quite a bit. I am going to do, for Christmas, for Christmas I got myself a whole bunch of new Spectre Noirs, but I can't use them till Christmas. So that's too bad. But they're pretty nice pens. They're cheaper than Copics, Copiq if you're from Japan. They don't got the brush tip. The brush tip is pretty nice, but the bullet I like also. As long as you're not trying to get into like really tiny spots, you can use the bullet to cover in like these large areas. You just don't get the super fine detail. I was hoping Spectre Noir would make a brush tip. If they did, I would probably, I don't know, I might not buy Copics at all just because they're so overly priced. I mean, what do they cost? If you buy them at Michael's, they're $7.90, $7.80, basically $8. Dick Blick is the other place I would get them, and when they have them in stock, which is not all the time, they're $6.50 or so. So super spendy. So it's always good to look for alternatives to those. I mean, they're the Cadillac of the alcohol-based markers, but They're just, man, they're overpriced. Even though the refills, you can get them, the refills aren't cheap. Like $12 a refill or something like that. And you get about 3... Well, man, I don't know. I haven't finished off my refills yet. So I'm guessing I'm going to get about 3 to 6 refills out of a refill for the pens. And then I also got to get a couple nibs, because the nibs get damaged. They collect dust if you go over a piece of paper that has some kind of dust or dirt on it, and you can foul up the nib. I've done that on a couple of my red markers. So I got to get some replacement brush tip nibs for my Copics. But all that's kind of boring. This I'm texturing her hair in, because this character has curly hair, and I wasn't sure how to draw the ringlets, so I just kind of stippled in with big dots these little half moon shapes in different colors, so you got the idea of ringlets for her hair. And I really do like the red jumpsuit. I think it looks pretty cool, popping off against the green armored shell of the pod that she's getting encased in. Here I'm using inks to, I guess this became a multimedia piece because of the size of it. I wanted to change up the texture a little bit from the Copics, because you can see like you can see all the ink lines on the Copics, you know, how they're drawn in. And this is such a big piece, I didn't want to have to slurp up all my Copic ink into it, because man, I would have just been burning up the pens. Even though I have refills for these, I just, you know, I don't want to do that. And this is this ink is like an acrylic based ink. It's more like a liquid acrylic paint, even though it's sold as an ink. And so you can do Copic over it after it dries. Or Copic, you can do alcohol markers over it after it dries. See, I'm doing that with a twin touch, not a Copic. So what I was doing here is to add texture to this. I was working on the light and shadow values, and so I used that dark liquid ink to start building up the shadows where the pieces would be laying on top of each other. And then I went over it with a lot of yellows to show the leading edges where light would be reflecting on the green metal. See, I got like one piece right there. That was my test piece to see how it would work out, and I really liked it. And then I put these lines in to kind of show movement, but I'm not quite sure that was successful. I guess you guys can be the judge of that. The other thing that I was doing is I didn't do both sides at the same time, because I wanted to kind of play around with different inking techniques. I mean, since this wasn't a paid illustration or commission for anybody, just a piece of personal work, it gave me the chance to play around a little bit with varying techniques. I did spend a ton of time on this piece of armor for the pod's hull. I don't think I usually would have done that with, but I was, messing around with, like I said again, the mixed mediums. So what else is going on, my heathens? We're getting close to the Christmas break at the day job. So that'll be nice. That'll be like almost 2 weeks off at the end of December. And we just had Thanksgiving the other day. A lot of other people where I work will opt to work the winter break. They call it. They can't say Christmas anymore. The winter break, but I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to take the time off and see if I can crank out a finished black and white comic. So if I do end up getting that done, I'll definitely post some pages on here. So this, I just drew this part right here where I'm putting in the black ink like 2 days ago, and that's a Japanese sume pine ink. It's really black. It smells really good, but you kind of got to be done with most of your Copics before you use it, because you don't want to touch your alcohol-based markers to this stuff, because it's not Copic safe. But I got like I don't know, like half a gallon of it. In fact, I'm using the bottle cap right there as my inkwell that came with it. So I got a lot of this stuff, so I want to try to use it up. And I like the cover, how it covers. It's very velvety, and it smells really good. It smells like, I don't know, like burnt pine trees or something. So that's drying. I went in and started doing some more details with my alcohol bags markers, with my Copics. The stuff on this piece that I think are successful is the pose of the figure, and with her hand up over her mouth, I think she looks, or her arm up over her mouth, she's like falling back in. I think she looks a little bit scared. So that adds to a little drama. And then I was also concerned that there wasn't enough movement in this piece. So I tried to diffuse that by, I put in a star pattern in the background for the black. But then I also went over and splattered some blue and a little bit of green and white around the pod. When we get to that, I'll talk about that a little bit more. Other, I think, design choices that I made on this that weren't the best is I didn't do enough like cool electronics in the background of the pod. It just kind of has those palm screens and like a gas and a brake pedal or whatever those are for. You know, I don't know. I think it looks a little low tech. But all the wires floating around behind her that are just gray right now would be like jacked into the suit, so that's kind of cool. And she doesn't have the helmet on that I designed for it either. That might have been a mistake. I'm doing all the highlights in with my gel pens. I sure like those. Those are Impact. I think they're called Insignia or something like that. If you do buy those, you want to get the ones that are the thicker ballpoint, because they work way better. Anyways, my heathens, it looks like we're coming up to an end of this video. We're at the 12:25 mark or something like that. Oh, there I am putting in the diffused background. I think that actually works pretty good. It helps add some texture and some interest to the piece. So anyways, my heathens, it looks like we're just about done. So I'll be saying goodbye. And if it's not too much of a problem, please subscribe if you're not already subscribed to my channel. And if you can be bothered to, please like and comment. Leave me a suggestion, and you'll probably see me draw it. Peace.